Hey everybody, Brian Zane here with my predictions for this Saturday's big AEW event Full Gear. Let's begin with what is right now the only advertised pre-show match for the evening. We've got Priestley taking on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I read somewhere you have to say her entire name at least one time in a video, otherwise you get a fine or something. Anyway, of the two women's matches on this show, I'm far more interested in this one because there's actually some heat and drama to it stemming back from Fight for the Fallen when during their tag team match, B kicked Brit in the back of the head and gave her a legitimate concussion and rang her bell. So that being said, I think this will be a good blow-off to the feud they've been having for the last couple of months. I think that Brit will win after a competitive match. She'll have a decisive victory with the lockjaw. Shawn Spears taking on Joey Janel. A bit of a contrast of styles between these two. Of course, Shawn spent many years in the WWE umbrella before going to AEW, so he's more polished and refined. Still trying to find his footing in the company, though. Meanwhile, Joey Janela has a bit more of a wild card. He's got that deathmatch experience, and of course, he's a bit more unpredictable in the ring, but he can still hang with the more technical wrestlers if he absolutely has to. Should be a very interesting matchup here. I don't think it's going to be an amazing one per se, but it will certainly showcase both of their talents. That said, I think Shawn is going to win here. On paper, he seems like the easy choice. I think he just, like I said, he's still trying to find his place in the company. He needs that big, decisive win, and I think Janelle's going to give it to him. And Janelle's kind of a character who can go through it and not win all the matches, but still win the hearts and minds of the fans. The Young Bucks taking on Proud and Powerful. That's Santana and Ortiz in tag team action. So it's basically the Elite versus the Inner Circle. Kind of a tough one for me to call because on the one hand, the Young Bucks are the Young Bucks, but they also have been known to lose some matches here and there, show some humility. As far as, Santana and Ortiz go, I think the Inner Circle needs a lot of wins to really establish themselves as the dominant heel faction. So I'm really curious to see how this one plays out. I think Proud and Powerful are going to win. The reason I'm picking them to win is it is going to play into my prediction for the World Championship match a little bit later. But yeah, I think that Santana and Ortiz are going to get the upset. The Young Bucks, like I said, you're expecting them to win a lot because, they're also management and everything, and they have this reputation that precedes them. But also, I think they're kind of in a position where they're Teflon and they could lose 100 matches and it's not going to matter because they're the Young Bucks. Speaking of tag teams, triple threat match for the AEW Tag Titles as SCU defend against the Lucha Brothers and Private Party, who were just added to the match this week on Dynamite. For all intents and purposes, on paper, this match should be absolutely fantastic. I love all three of these teams. I was blown away by what Private Party did against the Young Bucks last month, and we saw how good the finals in the tournament was between the other two teams. So with all three of these teams together, and I think they're all very creative and can do a lot of crazy stuff in the ring, so I'm really excited for what these six guys will bring to the table. I do think Kazarian and Scorpio Sky will retain, though. They just won the belts. Don't see them losing it to either team just yet. So yeah, I think it's going to be a real fun one. Could be the match of the night, but my pick is SCU is going to win. Riho defends the AEW Women's Championship against Emi Sakura in what they're billing as kind of a student versus teacher matchup. They have not had very long to build this match. Like I mentioned, of the two women's matches, I'm far more interested in Priestley versus Britt Baker. This one I think will be a good match because I've really enjoyed Riho's work, and Emi Sakura is a Joshi legend. I think these two are going to put on a hell of a match, but I mean, just the build to it has done nothing for me because it's been so short. And Riho, it's kind of like it's double-edged sword. Riho has really been dominant in the women's division as of late, and so they've already kind of run through all their credible opponents, and now Emi's kind of the last one that's left as far as I'm concerned. Maybe after Britt wins against B, we can revisit Britt versus Riho down the line because I already had that match, but we'll see what happens with that. But right now, my pick is Riho is going to retain here. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out match between these two. I think the champion's going to retain. Hangman Page taking on Pac in a grudge match. This is actually one of the longest-running feuds in AEW right now, going all the way back to their introductory press conference in Jacksonville earlier this year when you had that stare down between Paige and Pac. And of course, they were supposed to wrestle at Double or Nothing. Didn't happen. They did wrestle on TV. Pac won that singles matchup. Then Paige got some revenge in a tag team match a few weeks later. So this is the rubber match. I would imagine the blow off to this very lengthy feud. But for as long as the feud has been, there's really not been a whole lot of heat to it. I feel like of the big matches featuring the Elite on this show, this one kind of suffers from the least amount of true build. Yes, we've seen them share the ring every once in a while, and we saw Pac kick Adam Page in the dick on the main event of Dynamite this week. But I feel that we've not seen a lot as far as the TV content's concerned. And I'm sure there's more on Dark that I'm not seeing, but just from Dynamite right now, we're not seeing a ton of coverage of this feud. I'm not getting much of a reason to care about this matchup at this point. So that to me is a little disappointing. This one also has the potential to be a a real great match, a real sleeper hit on the night. Kind of a hard one for me to pick a winner, though, because I think both guys really need a win. If I had to pick one, I would just say Hangman Page. No particular reason, just kind of a hunch, kind of a coin flip deal for me that Paige is going to win. Le Champion, Chris Jericho, defends the AEW World title against Cody, and they've announced that if Cody loses, he will never challenge for the AEW World title again. This can be construed in one of a few ways. One, it's a dead giveaway Cody's going to win. Two, he's actually going through on his word and will never challenge the belts while he is management. And three, he starts doing that at first, but then goes back on his word and eventually finds his way back in the title picture. And that part I don't really see happening. I don't see him like changing his mind. So, but also I don't really see him never challenging for the belt ever again. So they did kind of force their hand, but I do believe Cody is going to win this one and become the world champion here. I don't think that Jericho's done in the main event, though. I think that, the Inner Circle still has a lot of legs left on it. But after seeing that promo from Cody this week on Dynamite, how could you not root for that guy? How could you not think that after a fiery promo like that, he's going to come out on the losing end? And we've been all fooled before, but I think that this one to me is, I do believe Cody is going to win simply because I just don't see him never challenging for the belt again. Then there's the unsanctioned lights out match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. It's a match that's been brewing ever since the end of Double or Nothing back in May when Moxley debuted and beat up Omega on the stage. They were supposed to fight it all out, but that didn't happen, so now we've got this match here. And due to the nature of the match, it being unsanctioned, aka hardcore, I think they're going to pull out most of the stops, if not all the stops. They've been teasing the barbed wire bat and broom for weeks at this point, so you better believe they're going to be involved. Probably a little bit of bloodshed too in this matchup here. It's going to be one that's billed as not for the squeamish or the faint of heart. So I believe they're going to get pretty ridiculous in this one here. Like a couple of the matches on this show, kind of hard for me to pick, who's going to be the winner of this one. It's really a coin flip to me. I do think Omega is going to win. I think of all the Elite members, like he and Hangman Page, I think have been kind of floundering a bit, but I think Omega even more so. He definitely does not give off the vibe of best wrestler in the world as we've seen from him the last couple of years. I think he really needs that big kind of victory that he hasn't really had in AEW yet. So I believe he's going to be winning here in this one. And Moxley's going to put up a hell of a fight. I believe he'll live on to fight another day, but it's not his night. Well, those are my picks, folks. Let me know what you think is going to happen at Full Gear this Saturday in the comments section below, and I'll see you on the other side with my review of Full Gear on Sunday. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.